Hi, it's James with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the two-player game Time Division, published by Heidelberg Games. In this game, you're going to be playing through era or multiple eras, depending on which way you want to play it, and you're going to be trying to have the most influence by the end of the game so that you can survive and win. So let's go ahead down the table here. I'm going to give you a general idea how the game plays, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. All right, so this is Time Division. Time Division can be played over a single era or all three eras. If you play all three over each three eras, at the end of each era, you're going to be moving this marker back and forth based on who won, and where the marker is at the end of the third round towards whoever it is going to win the game. If you're going to be playing through a single era, and this is your first game, they recommend the Egyptian era, and that'll have its own deck of cards. But there's two other eras you could play through too, if you want to individually, instead of going through all three. If you go through all three, you'll be using these cards with a star on them. These cards are special, so instead of what I'm going to show you for the gameplay in a single era, these ones would go into your hand immediately, so they would already be there. Each person would get one of them, and these would be special cards that you can use throughout that era at one point or another. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this deck of cards here, you're going to shuffle it up, and you're going to deal it out into two equal piles here. And then after you have it dealt out into two equal piles here, what's going to happen is each player is going to take a look at their hand. They're going to pick one card to keep, one card to remove from the game here, although there's ways to access this, and one card to give to the opponent. And then they'll do the same. They'll pick one for themselves, one to put out of the game, and one for their opponent. And you're going to keep on doing this until each person has a hand of 6 cards. Now, normally you would do this strategically, and this is a unique form of two-player drafting that I think is pretty cool. But in the end, you'll have your 6 cards. What you're going to do to start off the game is you're going to flip this really cool coin that comes with the game here. So I'll flip that coin, and whichever side shows either your opponent's side or your side, the coin will go there. So it'll come over here. Whoops, that's me, sorry. And I will go first. So what happens when I go first? Well, I'm going to take a look at my hand here, and I'm going to see the values here, and I'm going to see their special effects now on the bottom. Now, the game does come with a handy chart here to show you what all these different things. The biggest thing to remember is blue is you, red is your rival. So this is going to affect my rival, and it's going to do specific things that show on this chart here. So this one here is decision space. So decision spaces are some of the cards that have long-term effects on there that go. So like these delayed ones with this bar that you'll see on sometimes. See if I have one like that. Can go into the decision space and they'll fire off the next turn. We have some ones that check on certain trigger things to happen, and we have some with modified influence effects. And that gets more complicated as you go through these different decks. But this is going to be a simplified version. Well, not quite simplified, but an easier version to go through. That's why they recommend the Egyptian deck first. So you're going to look at what your abilities do here. And you're going to look at these numbers. And you're going to go ahead and place down a card. So let's say I place this 4 down. So then the opponent's going to look. And they're going to place down a card. So we're going to say they place down this card. So now we're going to look and we're going to compare the numbers. So this is a higher number, so the coin's going to go over to them. And then that player gets to pick one of two things. They either going to put this for influence points, which is how you win the game, into their influence pile here, or they're going to use the effect that's on the bottom. Whichever they don't choose, the opponent has to do. So let's say this one is 8. Well, they want to put it into their influence pile, which means that I don't get to get this for my influence pile, but I get to do its effect. And this guy's effect is going to be the independent stack, which is going to be this little stack right here. See the symbols match up. So we're going to be able to look through this independent stack and trigger one of these effects. And each of these effects could do different things. But like this one has no effect because it's a 10, so we won't pick that one. And we'll trigger one of those effects, and that'll occur. After we've finished that, this card will go out into the discard pile, and this is called the past, and it's gone. And then we're going to simply go again, but the player with a coin is going to pick first, so they're going to pick a card here, and then we're going to pick a card. So we know what they have. So let's say we want to, hey, you know what? We are going to play this one. And this one's pretty cool because what that one will do is take the 10 influence card from there and put it into my influence stack here. So we get the coin. We get to choose first. We're going to go ahead and we're going to fire off this ability. So this will go into the past. And there was a 10 in here that we know, so because of earlier. So we'll put that in our influence stack. And this person, since we picked to do our ability, they have to put this for their influence, and it'll go in there. Then we're going to look at our hand again, and we're going to play down a card. The opponent's going to do the same. The coin stay in our area. Now, if these numbers did match, the coin will stay where it's at, and so on and so forth. We're going to continue on until we run out of cards. After we run out of cards, we're going to tally up our influence, and the person with the most influence is going to win the game. And that's going to be how you're going to play time division. So again, this is going to be playing over one era. However, you can continue on, and the winner will move that marker, and you can continue on to all three eras. But that's it. Let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. All right, so that was Time Division by Tabletop Games. Now, Time Division's two-player game, as you saw here. Component quality is amazing. Probably a lot more than you need for a game like this. Like, you could pretty much just use the cards. It can just be a little deck of cards that you play with. However, the stands are really cool, the coin's really cool, and the board's really cool. Art's really good. Love that. The only thing I had was a little off-putting on here was actually the iconography. The iconography on here is really hard for me to learn for some reason or another, and it seemed to be that way when other people played too. So I really wish they would have just in the explanation in the back of the book for each of these cards is like a sentence. So if they would have put that sentence on the card instead, then you would learn the iconography better as the game goes by. Instead, especially the first couple times you're playing the game, you're going to be referencing that all the time, and it sort of gets away from the immersion of the game when every time you're trying to look at cards, you're constantly trying to figure out what they actually do. So if the card actually said what it did, and like I said, they're no more than a sentence, that would have gone a long way with this game. So I think that was a major misstep for this game. However, so gameplay of this game, I do think this game is a lot of fun. If you're looking for a fast two-player game that has a lot of strategy to it, but is really simple to teach and get into, this is the game for you. You're going to need to invest some time, a couple games there, to get used to the iconography and the different effects of the different cards. You're probably going to need to play the game a couple times each era to get used to it before you go through all three eras. But once you get the hang of it, this game is a very fluid, fast two-player game with a lot of strategy. So if you're willing to put that little effort in the beginning, this game can shine for you. And that is basically, in a nutshell, my thoughts on Time Division. Thank you for watching.